All right, my fellow HVAC enthusiasts, nuts, gurus, etc., or for the average Joe that just doesn't understand our obsession, as you would call it. Today, I'm going to debunked, which is the biggest scam in marketing scam ever, in my opinion, especially pertaining to room air conditioning units. We are going to debunk the rumor of EER, which is your energy efficiency rating, energy efficiency ratio, whatever the hell you would like to call it. But basically, we're going to acknowledge a big elephant in the room that everybody likes to mention. And I can't believe this far into this, we're still having this discussion, to be honest with you. But we still have a lot of people that buy into that malarkey. So are vintage window units actually less efficient than the newer ones? Well, there's a lot of things to take into consideration there. To start with the more complicated end of it, what are your cycle times? Does the older unit get the room done faster? Does the older unit, cycle time, let's say, for example, for the sake of an even number, let's say a vintage unit for some reason uses 1,000 watts, but it reaches its temperature in half the time that a unit that uses 500 watts does. Is it really less efficient? No, of course not. It's going to average out to be the same. Transfer of energy is a transfer of energy, no matter what way you look at it. But enough. You can listen to me ramble about this all day. We're going to prove it. So, as far as room air conditioners goes, it doesn't get much older than this. I mean, it does. It can get about 20 years older than this. But the odds of anybody having a pre-war unit or a unit older than 1953 to compare it to is pretty slim. They are out there. I am yet to see a pre-war with all built-in components, but when that day comes, which it will, I believe one will turn up, we'll cover that then. But let's get right to the point here now. So this is a 6,000 BTU. It's been confirmed to be around between 4 to 6,000 BTU. I'm thinking 6, providing I ran this for shits and giggles last night. It did this room here, which is a small room. It's not a big room. It did the bedroom across the hall and the bedroom off to the side, as well as my hallway. And it got pretty chilled in here, and I did not expect that to happen. I was expecting it just to be like so yeah, I believe this is every bit of 6,000 BTUs. Maybe even closer to 7, if you can believe that. So let's raise these up a little bit. And we are going to get to the point here. We're going to look at what it's drawing, and we are going to develop our conclusion on the actual calculator. As you can see, you might be able to see right there. We'll fine tune that when we get to that point in the video. But for now, let's get to it. Let's make sure you guys can see. And also, my house is gutted right now. Well, kind of. I finished most of it, but I still got to run power to this room. So I'm running a 100-foot extension cord, which is probably a 16-gauge extension cord. So this is running at the worst possible conditions. It's hot in here. It's hot outside. It is like in the mid-80s out there. It's probably in the upper 70s in here. So this is going to be running on full load. So we're going to try this out. And like I said, I think these numbers that you're about to see is going to surprise you. I do. So, like I said, theoretically speaking, the guys that like to bash energy efficiency and use that as an argument as to why you shouldn't use these or buy these, like I said, I think you're going to be impressed. So obviously, we have a steady 60 hertz signal, which is right. 109, so we're losing about 0.2 volts at my extension cord, which, again, this is all I have to use right now. And actually, keep in mind that our numbers are the actual wattage this thing would use is actually going to be less than what you're going to see here. So we are running this unit at the absolute worst possible conditions it could see. 0 watts right now. It's running on fan only. So we're going to put on either one. Ventilator air removal is literally going to do the exact same thing in this instance. So once it gets running, once it builds speed up, so the fan itself is using, let's see, what do we got here? A whopping 87.6 watts, which is more or less nothing. Let's cycle that compressor on. And also take notice to how quiet, listen to my voice and then listen to the air conditioner. It's quiet, right? Let's cycle the compressor on. So you guys can see exactly what I'm doing here. Let's move our cord up a little bit. Come on. Okay, you guys can see that pretty good? Yeah? I was hoping the brightness here would be a little bit better, but I'm doing what I can, so bear with me. And that's your compressor kicking on. So we're building head pressure. It's going to go down a little bit. See? So we're going to call it about 470 watts, give or take. And like I said, if I was running this on a dedicated circuit, like it should be, it'd probably be using a little bit less. Like I said, we have a decent voltage drop on here right now. Yeah, we're down to 117 volts. And that's because I'm running it on an outlet that's being used for multiple things. So I only have like 2 live circuits in my house right now until this renovation's done. So, yeah. And it won't be running on extension cords. This is actually higher than you would normally get. It's using about 6.71 amps. Still got a 60 hertz signal, obviously. That's not going to change. Oh, went down a hair, but whatever. 467 watts, 66, yeah, so it's actually less. So we're gonna call it, for all intents and purposes, 470 watts. So let's back this off for a second. Let me bear with me for the amount of room I have right now. This is not the ideal working space, but sometimes you gotta do what you can with what you got. If you look, still 466 watts. All right, so let's get to the fun part, which is the part you guys all wanted to see. We're gonna call it 470 watts, which is obviously your amps times your voltage. All right, so there's your, are we in here? Let's see, we get this at a similar, ooh, yeah, there we go. Try to see if I can get this lined up. All right, so what we are looking at here is my massive full-size screen calculator. So what we're going to do is, this is a 6,000 BTU unit. So you got 6,000, that's going to be your BTUs, and you're going to divide that by the wattage that it's using, which we're going to round it up a little bit for all intents and purposes to 470. So divided by 470 watts. That is an energy efficiency rating of 12.7. So when this is running at optimal conditions, I would say it's going to be closer to 13 or 14. So worst, this is the worst it's ever going to get. 12.7 EER. So there you go, folks. There you have it. And 1950s ones are the ones that get bashed the most. They say, oh, they're incredibly inefficient. That is completely false. And like I said, I'm thinking 6,000, maybe even though this might be pushing out a little more. Like I said, this on my office, it did to get my daughter's room, and it did my bedroom and the hallway. And it brought it down into the mid 60s. Like I said, I did it by accident. I ran it last night when I went to Rita's and got myself some water ice. I was on the phone with Jordan Yu the whole entire time, so you can vouch for it. It was about only an hour and a half I had it running. It had it that cold in here. So this thing is a monster. It's quiet. It's over 70 years old, and it's still running. So even if it did use slightly more electricity than its modern counterpart, which it doesn't, for the longevity you get out of these, like I said, that's the other thing you have to take into consideration. Even if your EER theory was correct, look at how often you're replacing your units. Reliability, they look better. There's actually elegance in design. cycle time, performance, actual performance. How long does it take to cool it down? How well is it dehumidify? There's so many things other than, oh, just look at your wattage use. Look at that data plate. Look at that data plate. The newer units today are actually rated at best at optimal conditions. Back in the day, these units were tested in test chambers. I know Frederick tested them up to 130 degrees. Most other U.S. manufacturers tested them at 115. So they were being tested at 115 degrees ambient temperature. You really think the units today are being tested at 115 degrees ambient temperature, if at all? You're out of your mind. All they're doing is slapping hype stickers on there because they know the average person is dumb enough to believe it. So, that being said, I shouldn't say dumb, uneducated. They don't know. They're clueless. And that's okay because they're not HVAC techs or HVAC workers or even HVAC enthusiasts. They're just your everyday consumer, so why wouldn't they believe it? So, let's just say this unit is 4,000 BTUs. I know for a fact that it's putting out a lot less than that, or a lot more than that. But let's entertain it. Let's clear this number. So let's say it's 4,000 BTUs. I'm gonna divide that again by 470. Oh, yeah, that can sometimes happen. 8.5. So that's not great, but it's not horrible either by any means. Let's say it's 5,000 BTUs. And again, keep in mind that this is worst possible conditions. Extension cord, hot ambient temp outside, hot temp inside. It's not going to get, like I said, this is as bad as it's going to get. Not on a dedicated single circuit. So at 5,000 BTUs, the thing's got an energy efficiency rating of 10.6, which is still very good. So, sorry guys, you've been lied to, 100%. Now obviously certain units are better performers than others, there is that, and the bigger units do use more electricity per BTU, per watt, you know, etc. But guess what guys, the same is true for the newer units too. If you want to run, it is cheaper to run, let's say for example, for an even number, 24,000 BTUs. It's cheaper to run 4 6,000 BTU units than it is to run one 24,000 BTU unit. It is. It's a fact. However, the same is true today. If you buy brand new 2025 air conditioners right now, and you buy one 24,000 BTU unit, and you buy 4 6,000s, the 6,000s are going to be cheaper to run. 4 6s. It's true even today. That has never changed. Never. It's always been the same. So, like I said, it truly is, I believe, one of the biggest marketing scams in sales history. Honestly, consumer history. It is. It's a total marketing scam. To get people to replace their workhorses is exactly what it's for. To get people to buy product. When they talk, I think it's funny how and it should be a red flag, that they talk more about energy consumption than they do performance. You know why? Because there's nothing to boast about as far as performance. Now, I will give the newer units one thing. With the inverter technology, yes, you can get units with retarded high energy efficiency. However, what they're not telling you is that with that inverter technology, they're actually changing the BTU and capacity of the unit. So again, you have to go off of your worst possible conditions, which hasn't changed. So basically, in a nutshell, almost 15 minutes later, I have told you and proved to you that energy efficiency is a complete lie. Ken Horan, I really hope you see this video and can comment on here and back it up. So there you go. There you have it. I literally proved it to you. Have a good day, guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing what people have to say about this. I'm sure, even with proof, even with data, you're still going to have a few naysayers here and there. Discuss. Peace, and I will catch you on the next one.